Today's subject is inspired by this incredible book, Drea's English. I highly recommend it. And in it, he recommends omitting the following words from all of your prose, from your texts, from your emails, from everything you write, but most especially your creative writing. These are the words. Very, as in they felt it in their very bones. Rather, really, actually, of course, just, as in a qualifier, only, quite, in fact, pretty, as in pretty boring, and surely. Cut these words from your prose and they will change your writing forever. These words will never enhance your prose. They will always enhance it by their absence. Try it. If you don't believe me, you will find that Benjamin Drea is right. I give this to all my students and it makes such a huge difference. I say, put them on a post-it note, put them above your desk, and then every time you see them, cut them out. The other thing to do when you've done this, say for a week, is to go through your own work using the search engine and find out your writerly tics. You'll have them. There will be words that you will repeatedly use unnecessarily and they will diminish your work because your reader will notice by page 60 that they've read this word several times. Sometimes I was editing a student's work the other day and there was the use of the word little 6 times on one page. I did this myself a few years ago and noticed that I used the word softly a lot and little, actually, and probably actually. So get to know your own writerly tics, because great writing is all about making conscious choices. Sloppy writing is when the writer is not thinking about their word choice. They're just putting down whatever, and then they're using unconscious repetition, and it takes away from the impact of their writing. Hemingway was a great one for using conscious repetition. All the repetition he did was for effect. You want to do the same. Take this to the next level by omitting certain words from everything that you write forever. Now, this is advice particularly for those of you who have a tendency to use qualifiers. In this case, usually just and only. Does this resonate with you? It certainly resonated with me. When we use our language to diminish ourselves, people don't take us seriously. So we say, I guess, I suppose, I think, I'm just wanting to ask you, or may I ask you? Just ask. Don't ask if you can ask, just ask. The one I used most of all. I'm just writing to ask. I was just wondering if you could possibly, or I'm hoping you might, or I would quite like it if. Now, I'm not advocating that you be impolite. This is different from politeness. This is about being clear and direct. This is about being decisive and bold. And when you do this, people will respect you for it, because we use these words, we diminish ourselves, and then we wonder why other people aren't taking us seriously. And this is why. So be decisive, be bold. It will change your life for the better. Another piece of advice I want to share about cleaning up your prose, making it stronger and more decisive, is to take a chapter of your writing and cut all instances of the word was and were, and rewrite your sentences accordingly. Now, this is not to say that you're going to go through all of your prose never using the word was or were again. No, I'm not saying that. But it is an interesting exercise, because then you can see how you have to restructure your sentences in a more interesting manner. And more interesting is usually better. Not always, but usually. And you can see how you will have to begin the sentence differently. You'll have to end the sentence differently. And you will have to be more creative. When we're writing, we skim from the top of the brain, don't we? We use the most simple words, we use the most simple structure. This is not a bad thing, but if we're not consciously choosing to do it, then it can make our writing weaker. Lastly, I want you to experiment with ending the sentence, every single sentence, on the most powerful word, on the strongest word in the sentence. Just as you'd end a chapter on the most powerful moment to propel us into the next chapter, so you should end each sentence, each paragraph on the strongest word to keep the flow, to make us feel the authority of your writing, the strength of your prose. And then we will be propelled from first to last, from first chapter to last chapter of a brilliantly written book.